Let me ask you something real quick. What would you do if you were trapped inside a crushed car, bleeding, half conscious, and the one person you thought would show up for your newborn chose a spa day instead? Yeah, that actually happened to me. My name is Rebecca Martinez. I was 28 years old, and 3 weeks ago my entire life got flipped upside down in less than 5 seconds. 1 minute, I was driving to the grocery store. Nothing dramatic, nothing crazy, just a tired new mom running on caffeine and hope. My 6-week-old daughter, Emma, was safe at home with my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chin. It was supposed to be a quick 20-minute run, in and out, easy. The next minute, boom, a delivery truck ran a red light at nearly 60 miles per hour and slammed straight into the driver's side of my car. I didn't even have time to scream. Metal shrieked like it was being torn apart by claws. The airbags exploded into my face. The world spun so fast I thought I was dying right there. My Honda was launched across 4 lanes of traffic, twisting like a toy. Then, nothing, just darkness and sirens. When I woke up, I was strapped to a gurney inside an ambulance. My chest felt like it had been crushed by a boulder. Every breath burned. My head was pounding so hard I thought my skull might split open. A paramedic leaned over me, a woman in her 40s, calm voice, kind eyes. Hey, sweetheart. You're okay, try not to move. I tried to speak, but my mouth was dry, my tongue heavy. And the first thing I said wasn't about the pain. It wasn't about the blood, it wasn't even about the fact that I couldn't move my left arm. I whispered, barely audible through the oxygen mask, my baby. Emma. The paramedic squeezed my hand. Tell me about her. She's 6 weeks old, I said, blinking through dizziness. She's at home. With my neighbor. She's breastfed. She's never taken a bottle. The paramedic's expression tightened just a little. Okay. We'll figure it out, one step at a time. But my heart was already racing out of control, because I knew something she didn't. Mrs. Chin was 72 years old, sweet as can be. But she had only agreed to watch Emma for a short trip. Now it had already been over 40 minutes, and instead of heading home, I was being rushed to County General. I needed help. So I did what any daughter would do. I called my mom. She answered on the 3rd ring. Rebecca, she said casually, I'm at the spa. What's going on? The sound of running water echoed in the background. Soft music, laughter, champagne glasses clinking. Mom. I croak, my voice cracking. I've been in a car accident. A bad one. I'm in an ambulance. Silence. Then a sigh. Not a worried sigh. An annoyed one. Are you sure it's that serious? She asked. You tend to be dramatic. Dramatic. I swallowed, fighting nausea. My car is totaled. I hit my head. They're taking me to the hospital. Emma is at home with Mrs. Chen. Can you please go get her? Another pause. County General, she said. That's like an hour away. I'm literally in the middle of a seaweed wrap. A seaweed wrap. Mom, I whispered. She's your granddaughter. She needs. Can't your husband handle this? She cut in. Marcus is in Dallas. His flight doesn't land for 5 hours. She clicked her tongue. Well, that's unfortunate timing. My chest tightened. Please, I said. Just for a few hours. I'll figure something out after. That's when she said the words I will never forget. Rebecca, your sister and I are leaving tomorrow for our Caribbean cruise. We've been planning this for months. Everything's paid for. My head throbbed violently. This is an emergency, I said. I was hit by a truck. And this, she snapped, is exactly why I worry about you. Always chaotic. Always needing to be rescued. The paramedic glanced at me, eyes full of concern. I felt something inside me crack. And it wasn't a rib. You ever have a moment where someone says something so cold, so heartless, that it permanently changes how you see them? Yeah. That moment hit me inside an ambulance, while my chest was shattered and my baby was miles away. I stared at my cracked phone screen as my mother kept talking. Like she wasn't casually ripping my world apart. You need to be more responsible, she said. Your sister never has these kinds of emergencies. That one stung. Vanessa. The golden child, the one who could do no wrong. I didn't plan to get hit by a truck, I whispered. Well, responsible parents have contingency plans. My mom shot back. I can't drop everything every time you have a problem. The ambulance hit a pothole. Pain exploded through my ribs so violently I gasped out loud. My vision blurred. The paramedic reached for me instantly. "Mom, breathe. Slow breaths." Meanwhile, my mother kept going. "Your father and I deserve this vacation," she said. "We've worked hard our entire lives. We're not letting your poor planning ruin it." Poor planning. I felt sick. "I'm not asking you to cancel the cruise," I said, forcing the words out between shallow breaths. "I just need you to watch Emma for a few hours. Please." Her voice turned sharp, cold. "I raised you to be independent, Rebecca. But you're still calling mommy every time something goes wrong." The paramedic froze. She could hear everything. "I have broken bones," I said quietly. "I'm scared. I'm asking for help. And I'm saying no." My mother replied. "Call one of your friends, or hire a babysitter. You make good money, don't you?" Then click. The line went dead. I just stared at the screen. Her contact photo popped up. Last Christmas. She was holding Emma, smiling proudly like she was Grandma of the Year. I laughed. A broken, silent laugh that turned into tears I couldn't even wipe away. The paramedic gently touched my arm. "Do you have anyone else you can call?" I scrolled through my contacts with shaking fingers. My best friend Alicia. Out of state. Marcus's parents. In Arizona. Mrs. Chen. Already overwhelmed. That's when I remembered something. A business card I'd saved months ago while I was pregnant. Elite Newborn Care. 24/7 emergency services. My hands shook as I dialed. "Elite Newborn Care, this is Monica." A calm voice answered instantly. I'm in an ambulance," I said. "Car accident. My 6-week-old baby is at home with an elderly neighbor. I need help. Now?" "No problem," Monica said without hesitation. No judgment, no sighs. Just action. "Where is the baby?" I gave her the address. She asked the right questions. Medical history, feeding needs, supplies at home, where I was being taken. "We'll have a specialist there in 40 minutes, she said. Registered nurse. 15 years of newborn experience. I felt relief hit me so hard I almost cried again. "How much?" I asked weakly. $75 an hour. 4-hour minimum. But right now, focus on getting through this. We've got your daughter." Someone was finally showing up. County General was chaos. Bright lights, machines beeping, doctors talking over each other, X-rays, CT scans, fractured collarbone, 3 broken ribs, concussion severe enough they worried about brain bleeding. As they stitched my forehead, my phone rang. "Marcus, Rebecca," he said, voice shaking. "I just landed." "What happened? Are you okay? Is Emma okay?" I told him everything. The crash, my mom. The refusal? She said no. He snapped. She said no to watching her own granddaughter while you were in an ambulance. She has a cruise. "I don't care if she has dinner with the president," he said. "I'm coming home." "Right now? What about your presentation?" "Screw the presentation." That's when I lost it. Not from pain, not from fear, but because my husband's instinct was exactly what my mother's should have been. Later that night, after they admitted me for observation, I did something I'd been doing since I was 19 years old. I opened my banking app, scrolled, and stared at the automatic transfer I'd set up 9 years ago. $4,500 every single month to my parents' mortgage. They never knew it was me. They just assumed their finances worked out. Spa days, cruises, helping Vanessa buy a house. I'd paid nearly $500,000 to keep them comfortable. And my mother couldn't spare 3 hours. With trembling fingers, I canceled the payment. Then I opened a new account. I named it Emma's Future and redirected every dollar. When the nurse came in, she smiled. "You look lighter." "I finally stopped paying for love," I said. At 8 p.m., there was a knock at my hospital door. I expected Marcus. Instead, my grandfather walked in. And everything was about to change. You ever think someone's quiet until you realize they've just been watching the whole time? Because when my grandfather walked into that hospital room, I knew somebody was about to pay for what happened. He didn't rush me, didn't panic, didn't start asking 100 questions like everyone else. He just pulled a chair up next to my bed, sat down slowly, and looked at me the way he used to when I was a kid and got in trouble. Not angry, just disappointed in the situation. "Mrs. Chin called me," he said calmly. Told me you'd been in an accident. I tried to sit up, instantly regretted it. Pain shot through my chest. Grandpa, I'm okay. I lied. Emma's safe. I hired a nurse. He raised his hand. Stop, he said gently but firmly. Don't minimize this. That stopped me cold. He leaned forward. Mrs. Chin also told me she heard your phone call. The one with your mother. My stomach dropped. She went over to check on Emma. He continued. Heard every word. I felt exposed. Ashamed, angry. She said your mother refused to help, he said quietly. I nodded. She chose a cruise? I whispered. That's when his jaw tightened. Do you know who paid for that cruise? He asked. I blinked. What? Your grandmother and I, he said. $12,000. Anniversary gift. My breath caught. He shook his head slowly. I thought we were doing something nice. Didn't realize we were buying her excuse to abandon you. Grandpa, you didn't know. I know now. He interrupted, and for the first time since he walked in, his voice wasn't soft anymore. I called your mother, he said. An hour ago. I waited, told her I knew what she did. My hands curled into fists under the blanket. She said you were being dramatic, he continued. Said you were fine, said you've always been too dependent. I swallowed hard. Then he said the sentence that made my blood run cold. She said, Emma isn't my responsibility. My eyes burned. She called my daughter a consequence. I whispered. Grandpa leaned forward. That's when I canceled the cruise. My head snapped up. You, what? I canceled it, he said calmly. Called the cruise line. As the purchaser, I have that right. Full refund. I stared at him. Your parents will not be boarding any ship tomorrow. Grandpa, I said, stunned. You didn't have to. Yes, he said firmly. I did. He reached for my hand, careful of the IV and bruises. Your grandmother made me promise something before she passed, he said. She told me to watch out for you. Tears spilled over. She worried about how differently your mother treated you compared to Vanessa. I laughed bitterly. I thought I was imagining it. You weren't, he said. I've seen it for years. You're expected to be understanding. Vanessa's allowed to be selfish. You're criticized for surviving, she's praised for existing. Silence hung heavy. Not anymore, he said. There was another knock at the door. Marcus, still in his suit, tie loosened, eyes wild. He crossed the room in 3 steps and kissed my forehead like I might disappear. I'm here, he whispered. I'm not going anywhere. Grandpa stood. I'll give you 2 space, he said. Then paused. But Rebecca, is there anything else I should know? I hesitated. Then I told him. Everything, the secret payments, the fourth $500 a month, the 9 years, the nearly $486,000. His face went still. You've been paying their mortgage, he said slowly, and their car. Yes. For 9 years. Yes. Marcus stared at me like he'd just learned a second language. You never told me, he said quietly. I didn't tell anyone, I replied. I thought, that's what daughters do. Grandpa exhaled sharply. Did they ever thank you? He asked. They didn't know it was me. But they knew money magically appeared, he said. Did they ever question it? No. They just spent it? I said. On vacations. On Vanessa. Grandpa nodded once. I'm making a call, he said. He stepped into the hallway. We could hear everything. Patricia, he said. It's your father. Pause. Did you know Rebecca has been paying your bills for 9 years? Long silence. $4,500 a month. Nearly $500,000 total. My mother's voice shrilled through the speaker. She canceled the payments today. Grandpa continued. From her hospital bed. After you refused to help her and your granddaughter. More shouting. Then Grandpa said the words that changed everything. You have 24 hours to make this right. Another pause. If you don't apologize properly, if you don't show gratitude and remorse, I'm changing my will. Everything goes to Rebecca and Emma. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He stated facts. I've already called my attorney, he finished. Your mother would be ashamed of you. Click. Grandpa came back inside. That woman is my daughter, he said. And I love her, but love doesn't mean enabling cruelty. He kissed my forehead. I'm going to meet my great-granddaughter. When he left, Marcus pulled me close. You okay? He whispered. For the first time, I said, I feel protected. And outside that hospital room, a countdown had officially begun. You know the truth is powerful when the people who've been lying the longest suddenly start panicking. And trust me, my family panicked hard. The first call came less than 2 hours after Grandpa left. I didn't answer. Then another. Declined. Then text messages started pouring in like a flood. Mom, Rebecca. We need to talk. This is a huge misunderstanding. Mom, your grandfather is being completely unreasonable. Mom, you're tearing this family apart. I stared at the screen, numb. Not one message asked if I was okay. Not one asked about Emma. Just damage control. So I blocked her number. 5 minutes later, my sister called. Vanessa. I answered because, for some stupid reason, part of me hoped she'd surprise me. She didn't. What the hell did you do? She snapped the second I said hello. Mom is hysterical. The cruise is cancelled. Grandpa's threatening to cut her out of the will. I closed my eyes. All because, she continued, you had a little fender bender and Mom couldn't drop everything immediately. A fender bender. I repeated. Yes, she said. You're fine. You're literally causing family drama from a hospital bed. I laughed. Out loud. I have 3 broken ribs, I said. A fractured collarbone. A concussion, and a 6-week-old baby. Well, clearly you're fine enough to manipulate Grandpa. That's when something inside me snapped clean in half. Vanessa, I said slowly. I've been paying Mom and Dad's mortgage for 9 years. Silence. What? $4,500 a month, since I was 19. She scoffed. You're lying, ask Grandpa, I said. Or better yet, ask Mom where she thought that extra money came from. Another long pause. Even if that's true, she said finally, it doesn't give you the right to blackmail our mother. I took a deep breath. I didn't blackmail anyone, I said. I stopped funding my own abuse. She exploded. You're insane. Mom loves you. No, I replied calmly. She tolerates me as long as I'm useful. That shut her up. For 9 years, I continued, I paid for spa days, cruises, your house down payment. Her voice dropped. That was you. Yes. And when I was bleeding in an ambulance, I added, she couldn't give me 3 hours. Vanessa went quiet. Then she said the cruelest thing yet. Fine. Keep Grandpa's money, but don't come crying to me when you end up alone because you pushed everyone away. She hung up. Marcus, who'd been listening silently, squeezed my hand. You didn't push them away, he said. You stopped carrying them. The next morning, I was discharged. Marcus brought Emma to the hospital. The moment I held her, everything else faded. She was perfect, healthy, warm, real. Claudia, the newborn specialist, handed me detailed notes, feedings, diapers, sleep patterns. You did the right thing, she said. Family is who shows up. At home, flowers covered the kitchen counter. Cards from friends, neighbors, coworkers. Nothing from my parents, nothing from Vanessa, but there was a box from Grandpa. Inside $50,000 in savings bonds. A note read for Emma's future, because she deserves grandparents who choose her. I cried harder than I had in weeks. The 24-hour deadline passed. No apology, no call, no acknowledgement. The next day, Grandpa's attorney confirmed it. The will was changed. I was the primary beneficiary. My mother would receive $10,000. Enough for a vacation but not a lifestyle. 2 weeks later, my phone rang from an unblocked number. Rebecca, my mother said, her voice shaking. There's been a mistake. The mortgage payment didn't go through. There's no mistake, I replied. I canceled it. Silence. That was you, she whispered. All these years. Less. You can't just stop, she said, panicked. We'll lose the house. I stayed calm. Like I almost lost my life. She started crying. I apologized, she said. No, I corrected. You tried to save your inheritance. Another pause. Rebecca, she pleaded, were your parents? You abandoned me first, I said. You chose a cruise over your injured daughter and newborn granddaughter. What about family loyalty? She asked. I laughed softly. Where was yours? I hung up. And for the first time in my life I didn't feel guilty. You ever notice how people swear they love you? Right up until the moment the money dries up. That's when you see the truth. And man, the truth got real ugly, real fast. Once the payments stopped, the phone calls came in waves. Not just from my mom, from my dad, from cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, even from an aunt who still owed me money. Every call had the same message, just wrapped in different voices. You're being cruel. You're overreacting. You're tearing the family apart. Not a single one asked how my ribs were healing. Not one asked if Emma was sleeping through the night. Not one said, "I'm sorry you went through that." It was like my accident never happened. But my bank transfer, that mattered. My dad finally left a voicemail. "Rebecca," he said, sounding tired and stressed. "Your mother is beside herself. This is extreme. You know how she is." I laughed when I heard that. You know how she is. The official family excuse for everything. I didn't call him back. Instead, I watched reality catch up to them. 2 weeks after the missed mortgage payment, they had to call the bank. Then the car payment bounced. Then my mom had to do something she hadn't done in almost a decade. She updated her resume. She got a full-time bookkeeping job. And suddenly, all those spa days disappeared. The lunches turned into packed meals. The shopping trips stopped. They were learning how to live on their actual income, for the first time in 9 years. Grandpa came over every Sunday. He'd sit in the living room with Emma asleep on his chest, telling her stories she wouldn't understand yet, but one day would. "You're doing the right thing," he told me one afternoon. "Walking away from toxicity takes courage." "Do you think she'll ever understand?" I asked. He shook his head. "People like your mother never see themselves as the villain. You'll always be the ungrateful daughter in her story." That hurt. But it also freed me. 6 months after the accident, Marcus got promoted. We celebrated quietly. No big party, no announcements, just us, Emma, and a bottle of cheap champagne we drank from coffee mugs. We started Emma's college fund. Every month, the same amount I'd been sending my parents, $4,500. In 18 years, Emma would have nearly $1 million. $1 million built on love, not guilt. A year later, I got a letter. From Vanessa. Not a text. Not a call. A letter. She wrote, "Mom asked me to start helping with their bills. She said it was temporary. I've given her 23,000 so far. When I said I couldn't anymore, she called me selfish. I finally understand. I'm sorry." I read it 3 times. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt tired. I wrote back one sentence: "I hope you find the courage to set boundaries like I did." That was it. Emma is 2 years old now. She doesn't know the word consequence. She knows Grandpa Joe, who comes every Sunday. She knows Marcus's parents, who flew in when she had croup without complaining once. She knows family is who shows up. Here's the truth I learned. Some people only value you for what you provide. The moment you stop providing, they show you who they really are. Believe them. You're not obligated to fund your own mistreatment. You're allowed to choose peace. You know, karma doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it shows up quietly, with overdue bills, empty rooms, and a mirror you can't look away from. That's how it came for my mother. About 3 months after I cut the payments, the house went on the market. I didn't hear it from her. I heard it from a neighbor who still followed my mom on Facebook. She downsized. The message said it was time for a simpler life. Simpler. That's what people call it when they can't afford the lie anymore. They moved into a 2-bedroom condo across town. No pool, no spa membership, no girls' lunch Wednesdays. The car they'd loved so much. Gone. Replaced with something practical and boring. My mother started working full-time. Not because she wanted to. Because she had to. And apparently, that reality hit her harder than losing me ever did. She tried again to reach me. New number, same voice. Just more careful this time. "Rebecca," she said, softer than I'd ever heard her. "I just wanted to let you know, things have been hard." I waited. "I didn't realize how much pressure you were under," she continued. "I guess I underestimated everything you were doing." Still no apology. Just discomfort. "I'm sorry you feel that way," she finally added. There it was, the fake apology, the kind that takes zero responsibility. "I don't feel anything," I said calmly. "I remember." She went quiet. "I raised you," she said. I sacrificed for you. And I paid you back. I replied. With interest. That ended the call. Grandpa told me later that she cried for days. Not about me. About the cruise. About the house. About how unfair life was. Not once did she mention Emma. That told me everything I needed to know. A year after the accident, Grandpa officially transferred part of his estate into a trust. For me and Emma. He sat at my kitchen table while Emma scribbled on paper with crayons. I'm not punishing your mother, he said. I'm protecting you. That distinction mattered. I don't want Emma growing up thinking love is something you earn by sacrificing yourself, he added. Neither did I. One afternoon at the park, another mom asked casually, so do her grandparents help much? I smiled as Grandpa pushed Emma on the swing. Oh yeah, I said, her grandpa's here every week. What about your parents? I didn't hesitate. They made their choice. The woman nodded. No judgment. Just understanding. Here's the thing no one tells you: walking away from toxic family doesn't feel empowering at first. It feels lonely. It feels wrong. It feels like you're breaking some invisible rule. But then, slowly, you realize how quiet your mind becomes when you're no longer bracing for disappointment. You start to breathe again. 2 years later, my mother still sends birthday cards. I don't open them. They go into a box in the garage. Not out of spite. Out of peace. Maybe one day Emma will want to read them. Maybe she won't. Either way, she'll know this love isn't conditional. Family isn't transactional, and no one gets access to you just because you share DNA. Everyone keeps asking me the same question. Do you regret it? Cutting them off. Stopping the money. Walking away. Let me tell you the truth, the only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. I think about the number sometimes. 486 L. Nearly $500,000. Money I'll never get back. Money that could have paid off our house years ago. Money that could have traveled the world with us. Money that could have bought safety instead of survival. But then I look at Emma. And I realize, I didn't lose that money. I spent it learning something priceless. I learned that love you have to buy isn't love. It's rent. And eventually, the landlord always wants more. I learned that being the strong one in the family often just means being the most exploited. And I learned that people who benefit from your silence will always call you dramatic the moment you speak. When Emma turned 2, Grandpa gave her a little necklace. Nothing fancy, just a small gold heart. He leaned down and whispered, "This is to remind you, you're chosen." That word hit me hard. Chosen. Not tolerated, not convenient, not useful. Chosen. Marcus and I talk about it sometimes, late at night when the house is quiet. Do you think she'll ever change? He asks. I shake my head. People like my mom don't change? I say. They rewrite the story so they're always the victim. And that's okay, because I'm done auditioning for a role in her version of reality. Vanessa and I don't speak. Not because I hate her, but because distance is the only boundary she respects. She learned, too late, what it feels like to become the family ATM. I don't feel smug about it. I feel sad, because I know exactly how heavy that role is. Here's what peace actually looks like: no anxiety when my phone rings. No guilt when I say no. No second guessing my worth, just quiet, and laughter. And a child growing up without watching her mother beg to be loved. People online love to say, but that's still your family. And I always think the same thing. Family doesn't abandon you in an ambulance. Family doesn't choose vacations over your child. Family doesn't take $500,000 and call you dramatic when you ask for help. Family shows up. If you're listening to this and you're the dependable one, the giver, the fixer, let me say this clearly. You are not obligated to bleed yourself dry to keep others comfortable. You are allowed to stop. And when you do, the people who disappear were never really there. Emma won't remember the accident. She won't remember the hospital. But she'll grow up watching boundaries instead of resentment. She'll learn that love isn't something you earn by suffering. And that's the legacy I choose to leave her. People think the best revenge is payback. It's not. The best revenge is building a life so peaceful that the people who hurt you no longer have access to it. 2 years have passed since the accident. I'm 30 now, Emma is running, laughing, asking 1,000 questions a day. She calls Grandpa Joe her best friend. He never misses a Sunday. Not once. Marcus and I still keep things simple. No flashy vacations, no status posts, just steady, quiet joy. And that college account. It's growing. Every month, without fail, the same amount I once sent to people who called me dramatic. Only now, it's going to someone who will never make me beg to matter. I saw my mother once, at a grocery store. She looked smaller, tired. She smiled like we were strangers who shared a memory. "Rebecca," she said cautiously. "Mom," I replied politely. She looked at Emma. Hesitated. "She's beautiful," said I. "No," I replied. She waited. For an invitation that never came. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I felt free. Here's what closing a chapter actually feels like: not fireworks, not justice speeches, not apologies. Just clarity. You stop wondering what you did wrong. You stop replaying conversations. You stop hoping people will finally change. You accept who they are, and choose yourself anyway. If you take one thing from my story, let it be this: you are not selfish for setting boundaries. You are not cruel for protecting your child. You are not dramatic for needing help in an emergency. And you are absolutely allowed to walk away from anyone who treats your love like a resource instead of a gift. My mother chose a cruise. I chose my daughter. And I'd make that choice again. Every single time. If this story hit you in the chest, you're not alone. Drop a comment. Share where you're listening from. And remember, real family doesn't ask you to bleed to belong.